spectacular move by Michael Jordan.
And the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship. Here's Jordan for three. Yes! The Chicago Bulls have won the NBA championship for the second straight season.
Pippen breaks inside. Well, Pippen got the snap. They go to Grant. To Paxson.
Paxson going for the win.
Here's Paxson for three.
Paxson.
Yes! The Chicago Bulls have won three straight NBA championships.
When I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball.
We're seeing the end of a terrific era here in the NBA.
Lennox finally defeat the Chicago Bulls in a playoff series.
Today, Michael Jordan at age 32 tries to accomplish what no one else truly has in team sports history.
Number 45 is back. He's in the building, ready to go.
And the season is over, my friend. The Magic win it.
Michael Jordan returned. Most people thought that the Chicago Bulls were going to go ahead and get into at least the finals in the Eastern Conference.
Tonight, the Chicago Bulls uncover their new look for the 1995-96 season.
How tough is that climb back to title number 4 going to be? And now, your Chicago Bulls!
The Chicago Bulls entered the 1995-96 season a far different team from the one that exited the playoffs the year before. With Michael Jordan back for a full season, the Bulls' nucleus was restored.
Michael and Scotty been leaders with this team over the 90s. But Michael early in the season said, this is still Scotty's team. I'm still figuring my way onto it.
Hey, Scotty!
I felt like the last couple seasons that, we were still a team that were looked at as one of the better teams in the league, but not of a championship caliber team.
From North Carolina, at guard.
Having Michael back, we felt like that, this was going to be our opportunity to go for it again.
Here's the tap right there. Run your fifth side. Here's the pass.
With Jordan and Pippen forming an incomparable core, the Bulls jumped out to their best start in history. Dennis Rodman brought a critical piece to the puzzle as the Bulls now boasted the game's most formidable trio. Carving out a vital presence, Rodman epitomized the meaning of team player.
We had a good situation for Dennis to come into. Michael and Scotty were here. He respected those players a tremendous amount. Both of them said, hey, if you and Phil think it's the right thing to do.
You got it, Dennis. You got it. That's enough, man. That's enough.
But what's unique about this team is that in years past, teams generally have had to take some time to gel as a group. And this year you've added Michael back to the mix, Dennis Rodman as a starter, and they came together so quickly.
But even with their star-studded nucleus, the Bulls would demonstrate all season long that winning was a total team effort.
What drove us this year was a lot of the players on our team never experienced this type of winning, and not as rapidly as we did. From Randy Brown to Steve Kerr to Judd Boucher. A lot of these guys have been on other teams that have never won.
And the bench delivers again.
So the motivation was even greater, not just from your starting five, not just from Scottie Pippen, myself, Dennis Rodman, the guys who have experienced it before, but from the guys who were on the bench supporting and coming in and relieving us of minutes. They wanted it more than we did because they've never experienced anything like this in their lives.
Some had never experienced the full measure of Michael Jordan, but by the end of November, that too would change.
Well, I remember back at the game it was Vancouver. We should have lost the game. We were down 12 points with 6 minutes to go, Michael just said, well, that's enough. I can't let this happen. And
All alone, thinking about the shot, thinking about driving. Now drives down to the right side, goes up with the left hand. It's good.
You know, it seems like whenever we're in a tight spot, Michael just turns up the jets a little bit.
12 straight by Jordan. 12 straight.
And everybody realized that this guy was back in his full force as, the most dominant player in the game.
In early December, the Bulls came home from a long but successful road trip. They continued to run on all cylinders and march through the month.
They're styling right now. And they're just... Question is now, who can beat this Chicago Bulls team?
It's not individual. It's a team situation.
And no one demonstrated that better than Jordan and Pippen. As they provided the team's anchor, they gave the rest of the league a lesson in winning.
Bulls are toying.
I gotta give the ball. I'm gonna be a step slow. I go to yours.
Spencer and Jordan picked it off. Behind the back, Pippen. Oh, yes, sir. Wow.
Well, we had a ball club that could hurt you in a lot of different areas, whether it was beating you on the boards, beating you defensively, or beating you in our transition game.
For all of Chicago's heroics, winning came down to the basics.
It's pretty to have a shot or a dunk or, a steal and a run-up, but really the things that provide you those things are the nuts and bolts of basketball, and that's hard teamwork.
Now listen, if I call a 10 defense, match up and play 10 full court defense.
You're only as good as your weakest link.
10 given points at 8 minutes gone the first quarter.
As the Bulls continued to pile up the victories, their success seemed to come at will.
We're just breezing along. But you always, in the back of your mind, you realize you get off to a good start. And we kept going. And the next thing you know, it's All-Star break, and we're just sitting out there by ourselves.
The Bulls put the first half of the season to rest and went to All-Star weekend in the best of spirits and well represented in San Antonio. But no member of the Bulls was happier to be there than Chicago's rejuvenated star.
all right, Mike, are you having fun again?
I'm having a great time. I love being behind you.
Yeah. Hey, watch out, baby, watch out.
Playing in his 6th All-Star game, Scottie Pippen was a big contributor, but the spotlight belonged to Michael Jordan.
Jack! Right there, dog. Right there, 3. Here you go, dog team. 4's here, which is Pippen. 3 takes it out. Got it? Man back right here. Right there. Hey!
Jordan scored 20 points and took home his 2nd All-Star MVP award. Yet another reminder that he had reclaimed his status as the game's best player. As the second half of the season began, the Bulls' momentum continued. Amazingly, they seemed to be even stronger and more cohesive. And no matter what strategy the opposition designed, it was powerless against them.
Everybody out there is guarding a great player. If 5 on board, Tony, you come to help, stay in front of the guy. If we don't have to break, swing the ball.
Final seconds of this first half. Jordan having trouble getting across. Good pressure. Finds Pippen. Gets it on. Check by Rodney.
This is a rock star team. This is a rock team. Yeah, everyone wants to follow the biggest show on earth.
It's like the Beatles have arrived on the scene.
They are the best and the brightest in the NBA.
It's electric here tonight as the Bulls.
The most sought ticket in the last 10 years. This I want to see Superman and Rodman.
With the regular season winding down, the Bulls were closing in on the magic number of 70 wins, and they remained a force of sheer intimidation.
Come on, I'll give you a jump shot right now. I'll give you a jump shot. Shoot it. Well, you don't want it. Go on the wing button hook, Scotty or Michael. Off guard, wing button hook.
Hot pick, start. Post him up, Phil.
Get your back. Woo. That's automatic. That's automatic.
In what had become a season of epic achievements, Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman were named to the NBA All-Defensive Team. Tony Kukoc would win the Sixth Man Award, and Phil Jackson would become the winningest coach in team history and Coach of the Year. But the greatest glory lay in the team's accomplishment, a record-breaking 70 wins.
There it is. 70 has become a reality for the Chicago Bulls.
72-10 is an outstanding record, but 72-10 don't mean a thing without a ring, and that's pretty much been the focus of this team all year. Is we're here this year to win a championship. That's our ultimate goal.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 1996 NBA playoffs.
The Bulls were relaxed and confident as they took on Miami in round one. And once they got on their home court, they were simply invincible.
Pippen on a drive, beat Danilovic, dumps the ball.
And no amount of Miami heat could stop them.
MJ between them all. He got every one of them. Yes!
As frustrated as Miami felt in Game 1, it only got worse in Game 2. Miami was desperate.
We're going to try to eliminate some of the mistakes that we made in the game. You can't make mistakes against a team like this because they're going to take advantage of them.
Heading to Miami with a chance to sweep, the Bulls became even more focused.
A bounce back to Michael, spins up a shot, score!
Energized by the home crowd, Alonzo Mourning caught fire and scored 30 points. But it would not be nearly enough.
That's great. Dennis Rodman on the finish. And the Bulls have been superb.
Their sweep of Miami now behind them, the Bulls would face a far greater test. One that put them up against a familiar foe. After years of playoff dominance against the New York Knicks, Chicago finally met its match in the 1994 Eastern Conference semifinals. The Bulls were lost without Michael Jordan, who was attempting to master another sport.
You know, when I was down in minor league baseball, I didn't feel as connected, because I wasn't playing, and I knew that I could be a part of it. It's like a bully of the neighborhood taking advantage of your kid brother when you know the big brother's not around. You had those feelings of, God, I know I could help that team.
The Knicks finally defeat the Chicago Bulls in a playoff series.
A much different Bulls team hosted the Knicks in this year's playoffs. And again, the rivalry produced an intriguing matchup.
A lot of talk about this game, a lot of talk about how the two teams would come out offensively and defensively. It'll all be answered now.
Harp, be ready, Harp. Lock and trail. Michael. Stolen by Harper.
Knicks showing tenacious defense in this first quarter.
You got to move the ball. I want to have a split cut, which we send this guy early. This guy goes early. He goes ahead of the pass even.
Though the Knicks were persistent foes in the first two games, the Bulls maintained their resolve.
Derek Harper looks for John Starks. Makes a move and it's stripped away. Out to Scotty. He's got Rodman and Michael. Scotty won't need anybody else. This place is going crazy.
Unblemished through 5 in the playoffs. They go up 2-0 in this best-of-7 series against the New York Knicks.
But the Bulls went to New York without their brilliant sixth man, Tony Kukoc. He injured his back in practice and would be lost for the series.
I was nervous first because I couldn't help, especially playing in New York is tough with all that rivalry in between Chicago and New York in the past.
Without Kukoc, the Bulls ran into problems at Madison Square Garden in Game 3. With the two teams battling to a furious finish, Michael Jordan delivered mightily in the clutch.
Jordan for 3 to tie it. He does! The Knicks and the Bulls are tied at 88 with 19 and 4/10 seconds remaining.
They battled into overtime, And there, Patrick Ewing gave the Bulls their first brush with vulnerability.
And the Bulls are up by 3. Ewing, wild shot to cut it to 1.
Pulls up, 15-foot jumper. He puts it in, and the Knicks go up by 1.
The Chicago Bulls are beat for the first time in the playoffs.
Stripped of their invincible aura, the Bulls would have to face the Knicks again in barely 24 hours. But Chicago was eager for the challenge.
Even though we're the oldest team in the playoffs, I think that we turn around really well without notice and make adjustments. Michael was very upbeat and kept saying, "This, we're fine."
Y'all realize we're 2-1, man. We're not 1-2. Let's go out here and play this thing, all right? Let's be ready to run now.
I like that.
What time is it? Game time! Woo!
But an all-too-familiar obstacle stepped into Chicago's path and kept the Bulls from seizing the momentum.
Rodman has to find. He's blocked by Ewing. Second violation. And Patrick Ewing hearing it from the crowd.
Ewing wants Scottie Pippen. Ewing shoots it at the foul line. Good, a tough shot by Ewing right in the face of Scottie Pippen. New York takes the lead, and the Bulls take time.
With the Knicks seemingly in command, the Bulls found an unlikely hero.
Rodman open, drives it down the middle, underneath Weddington, fadeaway shot, good, right baseline. Bill Weddington has given Chicago the 1-point lead.
It wasn't said, let's look for Billy. I was filling a spot and going to a position where I'd be helpful to our offense. We all have a purpose and a role on this team, and everyone knows that their role is important, and at any time they're going to be called upon to perform.
Bulls lead 3-1 in the series as they beat the Knicks here in the Garden.
As the series shifted back to Chicago for Game 5, the rejuvenated Bulls dominated and finally sent the Knicks home for the season.
Jordan just looked over at Spike Lee and waved bye-bye.
The Bulls are moving on to face the Orlando Magic.
While Chicago's victory against the Knicks was hard-fought, the young and supremely talented Orlando Magic sailed through their series against Atlanta. Now, they were itching to face the Bulls.
Bring on Chicago is the champ here in Orlando.
There's no pressure on us.